Hello, everyone, and welcome to the QT2 podcast series, Race Recap. This is a new one for us, and for this series, we've invited our athletes to come and talk about the race day experiences. We'll cover their journey to the starting line and then go over course details, pre-race and race day logistics, travel and expenses, and more. Our first episode is about the Women's IRONMAN World Championship, which was held in Kona this year. And today we welcome QT2 athletes, Lauren Magin, Nancy McMahon, and Jennie Hansen. Welcome.
Thanks, Rain.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. So we're what, like 3 weeks off of Kona now? So all maybe come in, you're home. And I just want to start here with each of your like sort of personal journeys on how you got to the starting line, because Kona is out there as the race. If you're a triathlete, for many, it's like the race that you want to go to. So maybe you can just each tell me a little bit about how you got there. Nancy, let's start with you.
Okay. This was actually my second time to the women's race. I went in 2023. For this race, I qualified. I kind of thought last minute I would try Ironman Florida last fall. And I qualified in Ironman Florida. So it was kind of nice to have that out of the way and know well in advance, because the first time I qualified at Lake Placid, and that was kind of a short turnaround to get a trip planned and everything going into Kona. So it was nice to have that kind of in my back pocket and be able to plan for that throughout the whole year and prep for that race as my A race throughout the whole year.
Nice. All right, Jennie.
I qualified last fall at Ironman California. I had raced in Nice, but I'd raced Kona many, many years ago as a pro in 2013. And then I've been back a few times for my husband to race. And I wanted to go back and give it another shot as an age grouper. So I turned it around after Nice last year, qualified at Ironman California with just a second in my age group, and really a pretty solid day out there. So I was happy to, again, like Nancy said, just get that wrapped up and, be able to plan my year around it.
Yeah. All right, Lauren, how about you?
So I qualified at Ironman Maryland in 2024. It was my first Ironman, and I was kind of like, I'm just going to do one. I want to just have that under my belt. Wasn't really planning on going any further with it. I ended up qualifying, and along the way, the whole journey, kind of fell in love with it. Just even the training, the process of getting there. So qualified for Kona, and it was an amazing experience. And then I'm doing Lake Placid next year, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Okay, so you come in your first Ironman race, you qualify for Kona. That must have been quite the maybe, or
Yes, well, I had a very good coach. Jennie Hansen was my coach, and she's amazing. So
I will say, I think Lauren like negative splitted the run there, which no one does that in their first Ironman except for her. So.
Natural, nice. So you guys all had, basically a year then to get ready. Close.
Yeah.
11 months, yeah, to get ready. So that's nice to be able to get that. Yeah, last year when I qualified for Nice, it was like 2 months before. I'm like, how do you plan a whole trip in 3 months? So at least you guys didn't have that scramble. So okay, so let's talk a little bit about the race. I'm going to start with actually, I want to start with getting there, okay? Because Kona is not close to anybody, for the most part. So from just a logistics standpoint, like when did you start planning your trip? Lauren, do you want to start with that?
Well, we started planning pretty much right away, because I heard that, cars book up and you're not going to find a car if you don't do it. And you're not going to we wanted to get a place that was close enough to the race where we could walk if we needed to. So we booked that pretty much right away too. And then figured we'd figure everything else out from there. But I liked staying where we did. We were like 2 miles away from the race, and we coincidentally ended up just 1 or 2 places down from Jennie and Nancy. So that was really convenient and nice too, for me, especially being my first time.
Yeah. So how do you find a place in Kona? What's the, like, is there a resource everyone goes to, or?
We've gone to Airbnb or VRBO and just, there's a lot of condo complexes along the Leahy Drive that we've always just rented from one of those. And over the years have just kind of gotten to know like the different complexes. And usually we'll stay, it's not like walking distance, but it's within a couple minutes or miles of the start. And so it's always pretty convenient to just stay on there and be in the midst of everything. Yeah.
With it being all the people descend, is there like a huge like poaching thing going on? Like the rental rates go way up, or
This year wasn't in 2022 when they had like the 2-day race with 5,000 people. It was a mess, but this year wasn't bad. So, yeah.
All right. And then, so how about like, I mean, flights, any like stress about getting your bike there? Any issues with that?
Oh, I haven't had any problem with the bike. Recently I had an issue with a bike years ago, but I would suggest you stick obviously with major airlines, and just make sure you have, what the baggage handling fees are and everything else ahead of time. Do that research before you show up with your bike box, and make sure that it's, within the weight and the dimensions, because that can get kind of tricky in the airport. We were coming back from Hawaii. We threw a couple extra things in the box, and they held us to that 50 pounds pretty good. So we had to open the box, take a couple things out. But, just know what the airlines require, get there in plenty of time. And the one thing that I did this year differently in terms of flights is we actually stayed over. So coming from the Northeast to LA and then flying from LA to Hawaii, we actually stayed overnight in LA. And we booked it directly with the airline. So all our baggage still stayed there. We didn't have to have the baggage leave the airport. And that was really nice to actually get a good night's sleep before you actually make that, and that additional time change. So I found it easier with the time change, actually making that little layover in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our one kind of travel hack is my husband, like his hobby is looking for flight upgrades online like every other day. But usually like we flew United, and usually if you check enough, you'll be able, you can find like a flight upgrade just on one of the legs. So I think we upgraded from like Rochester to Chicago for $150. But because we upgraded, that gave us free luggage. So as long as we kept the bike boxes under 70 pounds, it covered the cost of the bikes. And I think the bike boxes were like 69.5 pounds. So it works out well if you play the game right, to be able to get a better seat for those couple hours, and then the baggage is covered.
Oh, that is a good hack.
Yeah.
So how far in advance did you guys get out there for the race?
We got there what was it? The Thursday, not the Thursday before the race, but the week before Thursday. So, plenty of time to get acclimated, plenty of the time to deal with the time change, get into the practice swim and some of the events that were going on, get to know the course, get to know the run course. So I felt that was plenty of time to get there, to do those type of things. And I felt prepared from that length of time.
So were you able then to readily be able to get out onto the courses and be able to scope things out and practice?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got out at the same time when we were able to do like I put Nancy on about pretty much the same training schedule that I had. So we were able to, like get out for a few hours on the bike course easily enough the weekend before, and on the run course, no problems getting out and training. Lauren came out a little later, but
Lauren, how far in advance did you make it out?
So I came out the Tuesday before the race, because because I didn't really realize how much goes on before for that whole week of the race. And it probably would have been better to go just a few more days ahead of time, but you know, you live and learn.
Yeah, well, that's a question. So if you were to go back, you'd add a few extra days on before the race?
Yeah, just to get like a little bit more familiar with the bike course. I think I was only able to do, I did 2 rides on the bike course before the race. And I really didn't get to run much on the course. So, I mean, we drove a lot of it, but I still didn't. And maybe just like the heat acclimation and the time difference would have been nice to be there a little bit before, but I mean, it was fine.
Okay. And I mean, one of the other reasons maybe to go out earlier is that with the World Championship, there's all these events that go with it. And I'm curious if you went to any of the events and what your feedback was. So like the practice swim, the fun run, the welcome banquet, Parade of Nations, awards banquet after. Did any of you guys attend any of those?
Yeah, I did the actually Jenny and I both did the practice swim. And I will say that for me, when I did that 2 years ago, that was like a game changer because I hadn't really done many ocean swims, certainly not anything in a swim skin, and experienced chafing that can come along with a swim skin. So being able to practice some of those type of things it wasn't considered a race, but it felt like a race environment because everybody's out there doing their best and you're out there with other athletes you're going to be competing with. So for me, that was one thing that was really, really important. And I did it again this year as well. And it kind of, you're there, the pros are going off in the beginning and you get to kind of be part of a lot of the, the hype right away. But I really enjoyed, I would definitely, if you can get out there early enough for that, and that's the Sunday before the event, that would be one that I would very highly suggest.
Okay. Any of the other events did anyone go to?
I also did the Parade of Nations. Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was signed up for the fun run, but then Nancy actually asked if we could do a training ride together, and I jumped on that because I was like, "Ooh, she can show me kind of some of the course." So I didn't do that, but
Is it still the underwear run at Kona, or did that change?
That still goes on. I got stuck trying to cross the street while it was going on after I just was coming out of the water, and I was like, "Oh, the underpants run is going on right now."
There you go. It's a fun tradition, right?
Yeah, I think we did it.
We did bring home the underwear.
Yeah. And okay, so the Parade of Nations, because that's an interest. I mean, so what was your perspective on that, on the Parade of Nations?
I did it both years I did it. It's fun. It's fun to be recognized. It's kind of a low key kind of event. You just line up with other people. But the one thing that I really get out of that is both years I've done it, I've actually made some new friendships. And it's neat to get to know, like have time to actually to talk to some other athletes, like where they're from, how did they qualify, what was their journey? Because you're walking down the street with them for 20 25 minutes. I don't know how long it takes, 15 minutes to walk down the street. And you're getting to understand, like, who are the people here that I'm racing with and how did they get here and what's their story and what's their why. And I actually have kept in contact with a couple of the people that I met the first year that I went from the Parade of Nations, and found out one of them actually is lives close by to where I do. So like we've done training rides since then and hung out together and stuff. So you just never know when you go to those type of events. I'm one of those people I'll talk to anybody. So, it's all what you put into it too. So if you want to meet people and you want to get to know people, that's one way to do it. And it's not anything that's going to, affect your training or anything else. It's just kind of a casual walk down the street with a bunch of people from all over the world, which is really kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it is cool. So, I mean, one thing, like when I've done world championships that were like not Ironman. I mean, everyone's sort of, you're American, you're wearing your USA gear, and French, and like everyone's in their country gear. How, like in this case, how did you know where people were from? I mean, they just had flags or grouped, like how does it set up?
They actually have flags for each of the countries. So there's somebody that carries the flag. Some of the countries actually, they're a little more organized and they'll have like matching shirts or something like that. But usually everybody wears something red, from the United States. So we're red, white, and blue. I had a white Lake Placid Ironman shirt and wore red shorts. So, I think that's usually how you do it. And then you're walking with the individuals, and Ironman helps you organize so you know where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Were there any-
we watched it one year and it was neat because you could just would see the flags and we were like, well, where's that from? And, it's just kind of cool seeing how many different countries were represented. And
So it was the biggest country there.
The
So,
US.
the US, yeah. Yeah. I think it was in Nice too, unless triathletes from the US. So. All right, so let's talk a little bit just on some of the logistics of the race. So, expo. So like the Monster Expo of all, like the best one ever out there. People show up, right, to the Kona Expo.
yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I feel like last year at the expo at Nice, I was like, what's going on? Is there anyone here? But like at Kona, all the major brands were there. We went in pretty much the first day because I wanted to drop my bike off, and it was pretty crowded. It was, well-attended expo. So it was good to see so many of the different brands coming out for the women's race and willing to take the time to come out for the weekend and have all their stuff available.
And if you're willing to chat and talk with them, you never know what kind of cool swag you might end up getting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, and what did you buy at the expo? It must be.
Yeah, Ironman kind of does it cool. They were giving out free ice cream to everybody, and like Zip was giving out these giant sun hats that we got. And so if you're willing to sit and talk to them, you sometimes can score some pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm not like a super social person, but I did get the Zip hat, so
It was cool.
I actually wanted to go up and like see what tire pressure they recommended, and they're like, "Do you want this giant hat?" And we're like, "Okay." So that was my one piece of free expo stuff.
So what they tell you for tire pressure at Kona?
I think like 53 front, 55 rear. Which
Really?
is so foreign to me from the days of running like 110, but
Wow, that was really low. Okay.
yeah. But then I went out on the course the next day and I ran a little higher than that, but I used the recommendations and I was like, okay, well, I'm going really fast and the bike feels smooth. So maybe there's something to it.
About.
Yeah.
And did they have like packet pickup and everything that was part of the expo? I mean, same time or?
Yeah, that was at the hotel, which was a little bit down the road from the expo. But packet pickup was actually, I don't know how it was for you guys, but when I went, it was super quick.
Yeah, very quick.
Yep.
And did you, and then later, so when did you drop off your race gear and everything?
That was Friday afternoon. We met up and walked in together.
And did they have like just some of the stuff like timing chip pickup? Was that at the expo or was that when you dropped your bike off?
Yeah, that was when we dropped the bikes off. We met Nancy kind of knew the lay of the land with dropping the bikes off better than Lauren and I, so she helped us through that too. So.
They have like mechanics and stuff pretty readily available if you need anything.
Yeah, I mean, Nancy and I both, I went to the QR tent and they were super helpful there for us. Lauren, did you use people to help you put the bike together?
Yeah, I went to Kona Works, which is just right up the street from the hotel, and they were amazing. I mean, I booked it the day before, just because I didn't know what I was going to do. And then we got there and I kind of needed a little bit of help, but they got us right in and it was great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was Lauren's first time flying with the bike, so
Yes. So I wasn't sure if we put it together right.
Yeah. I remember that my first race flying with the bike and I couldn't get it quite together right. And I show up and they're like, "It looks like you need a little help." I'm like, "Yes, I do." Thank you. It's nice. It's great that they're supportive and the shops are there helping between the expo and QR being there and local places. So that's
Yep,
awesome.
yep. Plenty
So
of
what's
pumps.
plenty of pumps, right?
Yes.
What's the transition zone like at Kona?
It's long. It's actually very well organized. It's when you first get there, it seems overwhelming and it doesn't, you have to, you really should walk through the flow. So when you drop your bike off, it's really nice. They have tons of volunteers there out on the pier to help you navigate when you drop your bike off and you drop your gear off, what you're going to be doing on race day. And you can even ask, my first year there, I had a volunteer actually walk me through the whole thing. So I understood exactly where to go. But it's very, very well organized. There's lots of people to help you on race day, to get to, like, if you come out, you get your gear, get your bike. And I think it's just really well done. And you basically go one direction out of the swim and then you go the opposite direction when you come in off the bike. So yeah,
Yeah. It's the bike racks too are the ones that have like you stick your rear wheel in, so there's no like bikes hanging and flying everywhere. And the racks were adjustable too based on the width of your rear wheel, so they would hold it nice and snug. And then it was, kind of go around and drop the run gear and bike gear bags off on hooks by number. Everything was super easy to follow and find.
That's good.
And I had a bike spot at the very end of a rack, so that was pretty nice.
Oh, that is nice.
you got lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
That is nice. But
Yep.
it was all organized by age group, racked by age group.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's talk about race morning. And Lauren, I'm going to start with you. So how did you get to the race start in the morning and what time did you have to kind of start that going?
So we heard, the packet is your athlete's guide is pretty specific about the closures, the road closures. And we talked to Jenny and Dave and Nancy and Joe about, the kind of what to do. So we got there probably around 4 so that we could get there at 4:30, right when transition opened. And then we just left the car there all day until the end of the day where you can get it out because you're kind of stuck there because parking is super limited. So that was a little bit difficult, but I wanted to be there and make sure everything was ready anyway. So
yeah. So no
Yeah.
last minute for you. First time, get there first thing.
Right.
Yeah, always better to be safe.
Yeah, and it does. Go ahead, Jenny.
I was just gonna say, Nancy and I just had Dave and Joe, our husbands, drop us off. I think we left the condo at like 5, and it was fine. They dropped us off, and then parking was their problem. They went and found street parking somewhere, so we had plenty of time. And then Dave would be mad if I didn't mention that he found us. He had like some secret porta potties he knew about from when he had raced there last time that were back by the banquet area. So like, he's like, we need to go find the secret porta potties before the race. And we went back there and there's like all these porta potties and no one at them behind the hotel. And then he goes back to like, he made his personal mission to like go to the porta potty lines and like spread the word about the secret porta potties to all these people that are waiting in line. That's kind of the entertaining part about race morning.
We will now know next year if you go, like if the
if you go to where the banquet tent is,
the secret's out now.
They had like the nice sinks, like it was.
That's too funny. That's awesome. So what time did transition close?
6 was like 6:15, 6:30, something like that.
Yeah, sometime
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does take a little while to get through the whole process because you have to go back behind the hotel, drop off your personal needs bags, and then walk all the way around the hotel. And they have everything from sunscreen to Vaseline to, I even saw a massage table with a massage therapist there. So if you had an issue in the morning, you could get that taken care of. But plan on getting through all that, having it take longer than a normal Ironman race would, because you have to go through all of that stuff. And you never know too, you might end up finding, at some famous person getting interviewed back there, which I ran into somebody doing an interview for one of the TV stations. So that can distract you too. So, you got to kind of really plan on a lot of time.
And do you have race morning? Did you have access to your bike and run bags?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But you could get, I mean, obviously to your bike and drop off.
Bike, yeah, but the
Yeah,
bags were
bags,
set.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So transition closes and then drop off your morning clothes or whatever, and then head to the swim start. How far is it to the swim start from transition?
It's not far, but there was like the swim staging area, and then because we had like 40 minutes between when transition closed and when our wave started, so there was the swim staging area, and then we had to work our way to the swim corrals. And of course, Lauren and I were like the people who like didn't know what was going on, so we like were the last people in the swim corral for our age group. I recommend against that.
Yeah.
Well, now you'll
you barely
know when
made
you
it
go
out there
back.
before
You've
the
got your
sun
list of the
rose.
things, but that's good. So how then, how would you have known, or what would you tell people now for the swim, like staging corral, what they would need to do to make sure that they're there on time and in a good position?
Just like pay attention to when people in your cap color are moving out of the staging area to the corrals, instead of just like I was watching the pro race on the big screen and I was like, oh, I think I'm supposed to be over there.
But our age group was also one of the biggest too.
Yeah.
So by the time they got all of us out to the start line, Jenny and I, like, you're supposed to tread water for, they said, like up to 5 to 8 minutes, and Jenny and I pretty much got there and then had to go.
It was a little stressful. I'm like swimming out. We were swimming out to the start line. I'm like, oh my God, better like pick it up and get to the start line, or else we're not gonna like make it. Cause I think we had like 250 women in our wave. So it took us a while to get everyone into the water and to the start line. So
Well, at
heads
least you don't
up.
have to waste energy treading water, right?
Yeah. It was kind of the trade-off of like, oh, I don't have to tread for that long, but there was a little bit stressful trying to like get into position of where I wanted to be. And
So it's a deep water start and then just a mass start by age group.
Yep.
Okay. I always wonder like why they do that like differently. Why sometimes it's a mass start and sometimes it's a rolling start in age group. I guess.
I think it's just World Championship, so you know exactly where you are in the age group,
Yeah.
even though you don't know who's in your age group when you're out there.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. Was there still a body marking age group on your calf?
There wasn't age, but there was bib number, and
Yeah.
The waves were by bib number, so I knew like people like 9, 8 something to 10 something were in my age group.
Okay. All right, so you're in the swim, treading water or getting yourself to the point that you're supposed to start. What's the swim course like?
It was it's actually beautiful. It's actually, you can see to the bottom all the way out. It's just, the water's beautiful. You can see marine life in there, fish, things like that. Not so many on race morning because it's just a lot of chaos going along with a lot of people swimming. But it can be choppy. It can, you can have waves. The race morning for us, the tide was actually coming in. So, it was a pretty rough swim. I kind of felt like I was kind of getting shooken around like I was in a washing machine a little bit. Sighting was difficult. Sighting can be difficult over the waves to see the, the buoys. So it was it was more difficult. I would have to say it was a more difficult swim this time than it was in 2023 for me. It was smoother then. So it can be anything. It's the ocean. And it can change through the morning. It could look smooth when the first groups come out. And then it could, end up being choppy and wavy for later groups. So you have to be kind of ready for just about anything out there.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is like trying to sight at the top of the swells. And then I swam the ocean a lot leading the week into the race, and race day was probably there's currents in the ocean too that you don't necessarily recognize until you're actually out there swimming like one direction versus the other. And so every single day that I had swam there, except race day, there was a current in your favor going out and then against you coming back. So race day, it was different. The current was against us going out and with us coming back. And I remember on my way out, like seeing some of my splits pop up and being like, oh man, this is like, I am terrible. But it was really just like the current was different than it was the rest of the week. So that, you swim all the way out and there's the body glove boat. And then once we started coming back, I was like, oh, this is easier now. This is a lot better.
So it's just a single loop.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's good. Then everyone gets in, hopefully. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so Kona is never wetsuit legal. I mean, it's always too warm there. Did you see panicking in the water because people weren't wearing their wetsuits or anything? Anything like that? No.
I didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't experience anybody having any difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Lauren, was that the first time you had swam in the swim skin?
No, it was the second time, but I've never done an ocean swim. So that was different. And
yeah. I mean, it's so salty, it's buoyant too. So I think everyone, because they know it. I think because everyone heads into that race knowing it's going to be non-wetsuit. It's not, like Texas where it, is 76.7 one day and 75 the next,
Yeah. Get yourself ready for it.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in for the swim. Is there a long transition from the beach back into the transition zone? Is there a long run?
No, not at all. I mean, you basically come out of the water, up the steps, take a left. There's some showers there, and you're right into picking up your bag. So I'd have to say,
take a shower with all the salt water.
Yeah, they suggest you get the salt water off. Yeah, some people will shower all the salt water off. Some people just kind of run through it. So it's all personal preference, but it's there if you want to do that. But you're basically through that water and you're picking up your bag.
Okay. And so how does it work at Kona? Someone handing you your bike, or are you going to the rack and getting your own bike?
You're going to the rack and grabbing your own bike.
Okay.
Yep.
And okay, so all right, let's talk about the bike course then. So Lauren, I want to hear it from your perspective. First timer at Kona, what do you think about the bike course?
Well, I had been, because Jennie is my coach and she's amazing. And also Nancy told me a lot about how things were. I knew that there was going to be a lot of the crosswinds, and I knew the hills to kind of expect. Going up to Heavy, I think at the end, that was a little bit steeper than I was expecting. And, but it was fine. I felt prepared for it. It was more just making sure that I had, the proper fueling before I got to some of those places where I didn't feel like I could control the bike as well. But Jennie kind of had warned me about that too. So I knew, so that was helpful.
Yeah.
Was it hot? I mean, it was a pretty hot day this year, right?
It was, yeah. I mean, we had some pretty solid crosswind or like headwinds going out to Javi. It wasn't as bad as I was thinking it could be, but it was still pretty nasty. And then probably like, I don't know, maybe 70, 75 miles, the heat really started to creep in. It had rained overnight leading into race morning. So it ended up being, I think, more humid than a lot of people were anticipating too. It's always humid there, but it was especially gnarly that day.
Yeah, I think the humidity, it kept creeping up too. during the day along with the temperatures. And you gotta really plan, like Lawrence was saying, you gotta be on top of your race nutrition on that course, because there's times you can't get to your nutrition. So you have to always make sure that you're fueled throughout the course, that you're not getting behind.
Yeah, yeah. There was like one point when you come off the Queen K, make the left-hand turn to start going towards Hobby, that it's really bumpy, it's downhill, and of course my front bottle came open in that point and just started like spraying sports drink everywhere. So I probably like lost half that bottle, which was not ideal because I just didn't want to let go to like close it up because it was just kind of a sketchy portion handling wise. So it's, definitely places to be aware that are, a little bit rougher road or going to be a little bit nastier with wind. So you just want to make sure you're prepared in terms of, what you have on board at those points.
And then, I mean, like all US Ironman races right now, I mean, Mortal is the drink of choice on the race. So, how do you utilize personal needs, and what were in your bags for the bike?
I have I have 2 cages in my front bottle. So I just start with 3 bottles. And then on the way out, it was fine. That lasted me. I just grabbed some water and then I replaced them at special needs. The one thing I was not prepared for was I thought thing would be completely melted by the time I got to special needs, but my bottles were still a little bit frozen when I got there. So the one I was trying to refill my front bottle with, I didn't get all of that fluid out of it because half of it was still completely frozen. So that's something to be aware of.
But I think too, planning extra. I ended up launching a bottle in town. I don't even remember going over a bump when I was in town, but all of a sudden I reached back when I was out on the Queen K, and there was a bottle missing off the back of my cages. So I think, you got to plan for that, and have a plan in place. Make sure I would put more in personal needs than you think you might need, because you never know what you might need when you get there. So just plan ahead with more than what you expect you're going to consume, and especially if you end up with a more humid day or something like that, like we did. So over planning, I think, is important.
And how were the aid stations? Are they pretty well stocked? Good volunteers, or?
I would say amazing volunteers. Really just amazing volunteers. Some of those volunteers have been coming to that race forever. Some people I've met people that like, oh yeah, we take a week vacation and we come and volunteer at this race. Aid stations had everything you need. They even had Coke on the bike course, which, note to self, the Coke bottles don't fit in your bottle cages. Because I did launch one of those too. I launched a few things, so I'm glad the ref wasn't around for unintentional littering, because I think I would have had a couple penalties. But yeah, they pretty much everything you need, and if you stop they will literally come up to your bike and say, "What can we need? What can we help you with? What can we get you?" They just really take good care of the athletes.
Yeah, I think the one thing I wish I had looked a little bit more at the map in terms on the second half, because there's a gap in the aid stations that was a little bit longer than I had expected. And, I missed some bottles at the first one, and then I didn't realize it was going to be as long as it was to the next one, which kind of caught up to me a little bit. And the other thing I've seen is just the littering zone where you could toss a bottle wasn't very long. So you had to be pretty efficient with if you were planning on refilling and tossing that, just had to be pretty quick with it.
And did they have like mechanical support at all at the aid stations? Did that come up, or?
I didn't need it. So
Yeah.
we all managed to make it through.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I actually saw very few people with bike issues. I think I saw one person getting mechanical help with the motorcycle between the aid stations, but I didn't really notice anything else other than that.
Yeah, I did see the refs a few times. I saw someone get carded, which is good. So
yeah, that's good.
That is good. Have them out there. Is there anything about, like, now having ridden the course, that you would tell people this is what you should do in training to get ready for the bike course at Kona? Any specific guidance?
It's just heat acclimation and getting used to crosswinds. I know Lauren did a lot of climbing in preparation too. Just there's not like a ton of climbing on the course, but there is a solid amount. So
Yeah, I think the heat acclimation is the biggest piece. You know, with those, I mean, obviously the climbing and getting ready for winds and stuff too. But
yeah,
you know, if you're not ready to handle that heat, you're going to struggle on the bike course.
yeah. I'm not the greatest in crosswinds, and I'll admit it, but I definitely too like a few training rides. I don't normally like to train on my race wheels, but I did just because I wanted to have the deeper front wheel on some windier days too to prep for that. And I don't know, Lauren, was there anything in particular you wish you had done? Or-
No, I mean, I same thing that you said. I tried to do like the hills, more of that, and then get up like at higher elevation where there was a little bit more of the wind that I had to deal with. And I did use Jenny let me borrow her race wheels, so I did that a couple times, which helped, just to kind of feel the difference.
Yeah, yeah. I think too, you know, if possible in race week, a good thing to do is just go out and get a little bit on the portion out to Javi because it is, you know, it isn't might not be that windy down by Kona, but out there, that's where the trade winds really pick up. So it's good to just be prepped for that and know what it can be like.
So what wheels did you use? How deep?
I had a 40 mil zip 404 front and 808 back, so 40, 80 millimeters.
That's what I ran too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
were
what we
you
all do.
disc wheels there or no?
I mean, it was kind of funny. There were some guys out there like the week
Yeah.
before the race training with disc wheels, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" But
It's probably the race wheel they have. So.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like they're coming out here to not race with you. Okay,
With the disc wheel, yeah. All
yeah,
right.
disc
So
wheels are banned. So
yeah, they're banned in Kona.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for good reason. But
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So bike course is done. How's the transition work to get to the run course? Where are you dropping a bike? Who's taking it? Transition tent. How does that work? What's the flow?
pretty much the opposite of the swim. Just run in, rack your own bike, and then grab the bag and run into the tent. So.
Okay.
Yeah, the one thing I did notice when after racking my bike, um everything is still very wet on the pier. So here's kind of a note to self. I did pack an extra pair of socks in my run bag, and I'm glad I did because I started to run in my bike shoes off my bike, and then they said, and then I took them off because it is a little bit of a run around the pier, and then of course you're soaking wet. So I was really glad I put an extra dry pair of socks in there, so then I didn't have to run in my bike shoes. So I found that very helpful.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other thing too is the old like QT2 like heat pocket concept too. It's like you get off your bike and it's just hot because you're like running in your helmet and like it really hits once you don't have like the, you know, 18 to 20 mile an hour wind with you. So be aware of that. It will hit. And then you have to go in the changing tent, which is pretty like it's crowded, it's steamy, and there's a lot of women around.
And then you get on the run course, which is hot too, right? So, so tell me about the run course. What's it like?
I will say that I resonated with me on the run course. Jenny and other people have told me work on just making sure you come out, you don't overcook yourself, and work on hydration and cooling in the beginning of the run course. Because you come out of the run course and come out of transition, and it's just there's people everywhere, and people are yelling and cheering, and it's just this really like awesome vibe. Like you just want to just give everything, and you want to just just go. And you really can't do that. You got to slow down. You got to get hydrated. Like Jenny said, that the heat just off the bike just kind of it just picks up in you. But listen to the volunteers at the beginning of that run course. I had asked for ice in my hat, and one of the run volunteers, she's like, come on over here, we're gonna get you cooled down. And I hadn't even asked for anything, and before I knew it, there was a lady scooping ice and dumping it down the back of my jersey. And boy, was she a lifesaver, because I hadn't even realized at that point how hot I was yet. And so they, I finished that loop in the town and came back by her again, and I thanked her so much, because I said my body temperature is way down. So, really, really paying attention to that when you come out of T2 is super, super important.
Yeah, I remember the first year I raced there years and years ago. Like the first portion is the out and back on a Leahy, and it's not flat, it's rolling, but it looks flat on the elevation profile just because there's bigger hills later on. But I remember the first year I raced there, Jesse being like, "Oh well, everyone's a rock star on a Leahy and feels great," and I definitely did not. I felt awful. So it's like there's so much crowd support and cheering, but it really is, you can feel awful, you can feel great, but I mean, it's really gotten just like run your own race, start out and really focus on that cooling. I mean, I didn't feel good the entire day on the run, but it's like you come out of transition and just you feel so hot, and the mile paces will vary because there is some elevation change on that first part. Lauren looked great.
So what was just on the run course, I mean, you talked about the volunteers and spectators there early on. How overall, like, is the spectators on the run course? Are there sections that don't have any, or sections are particularly loud?
Yeah, I mean, once you get, like, you do your first 6.5 miles out and back on Palani or on a Leahy, and then you kind of like turn up, you go up a little bit onto Kuakini, and then you get the big, like, steep uphill up Palani. And that whole section, the first like 7.5 miles or so, there's a lot of spectators there. And then you turn into the Queen K and there's no one, which I didn't mind because I didn't want people cheering for me, but it gets lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, it can get lonely, and I'm not as quick as Lauren and Jennie. So when you get out on the Queen K, there's not as many people there, and there's lots of aid stations, still lots of volunteers and lots of people working for you. But then you get you get out on the Queen K, and then you get to the energy lab, and for me, the sun went down in the energy lab, so it was kind of pretty. You're heading toward the ocean and the sun's going down, but then it's dark, and not everybody's used to finishing races in the dark. And 2 years ago, that was the first race I'd ever finished in the dark, and it's hard. It's hard. You're out there in the dark, and you're climbing out of the energy lab. And I remember Jennie telling me 2 years ago, she goes, "You're going to be climbing out of the energy lab," and you climb out of that energy lab. And you really have to, when there's nobody out there, you really gotta be your own cheerleader, which is tough. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's there's a lot made out of the energy lab too, which it was baking in there this year. I had one point where I just had to stop and walk to an aid station and just get like a pitcher of ice water dumped on my head. But I think what kind of gets underrated a little bit are just these like the long section on the Queen K from Palani to the energy lab, which I don't remember how many miles it was, but it's kind of like rolling, but you can see where you're going the entire time, and it just feels like it takes forever. So it's it's like you come out of the energy lab and you're like kind of mentally done, but you have a lot left. Yeah. Lauren, how was it for you?
I just kept being like, when are we going to get to the energy lab? I just want to get to the energy lab because I knew we had special needs there too. And I should have looked at that before too, because special needs wasn't until I think mile 17. And I was thinking it would be, around mile 13. And I really needed something for the cramping in my stomach. So that felt just longer than I think it should have. And it was hot too. But having the aid stations every mile, I kind of just was like, all right, get to the next aid station, cool yourself down, and then get to the next one.
Yeah.
So when it gets dark out there, were you using a headlamp?
I did not use a headlamp. Some women did. the issue with the headlamp is when you're in and out of the energy lab, you're running, opposite of other runners, and it's a very narrow road. So one of the problems I faced was all these headlamps coming at me. So you really have to try to either look away. You don't want to end up looking down at the ground, because then your running form is going to change. I had enough light, there's enough light, but that's personal preference. I just didn't really want to carry anything else, because everything else I was carrying for my fueling, I just didn't want to have to deal with the light. But there's many people that did use headlamps.
Yeah, but it was okay. You could see enough without it.
Yes. And then when you get up on the Queen K, it's obviously much easier to see too.
Okay. So, what's the finish line like? Amazing. What is, I've heard that. So what is it? What is it that makes it amazing?
It's a culmination of the whole day. I'm gonna get all choked up because it's pretty cool. Especially if you had a good day. It's for me, I never thought I would be at this level. So the first time I crossed it, it was pretty emotional. It's just like you did it. Yeah. You made it. Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's like there's just so many people and flowers, and I mean you can't see flowers in the dark, but it's just bigger than any finish line you've ever been across before. It's pretty special.
I think, so the one time I raced Kona as a pro, it was like kind of this like Cinderella year for me. And then I had like the tiniest off day in Kona, which for me at the time was like a 9:37, which I would kill myself to, be able to do that again. But as I remember, I just like crossed the finish line, like totally emotionless, because I thought like I'd done so horrible, even though I really hadn't, because I was just a total perfectionist back then. So, and then I tried again as a pro to get back and just never made it back. And so I told myself, like my vow to myself for this race was, no matter what happens out there, like enjoy that red carpet and enjoy the finish line. And I, my day went completely sideways. It was absolutely not what I wanted, but still that last like couple 100 yards, I was like, just soak it in, enjoy this finish line. I was trying not to throw up all over the place at the time, but it was just so amazing to, be like, okay, you're back here and you finished and got through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren, how was your finish?
I mean, it was the same as they said. It's absolutely magical. I mean, even coming down Palani, they've got somebody out there, like a DJ out there, and they're calling your name and they're playing music, and there's crowds the whole way through the last couple miles, and it is an incredible experience, and it was really special.
Yeah.
So one thing that I always hear people talk about Kona when they come back is respect. That you have to respect the course and respect everything about it. So where's that? I mean, it's such a common theme. Where does that come from?
I think, a lot of it's just like the native culture of the island, and there's a lot of like spiritual energy to it. And then I think there's also the element of you have to respect the conditions out there, because if you don't, it's gonna humble you pretty quickly, and it's kind of talking about that the other day with Tim, and just saying, there was these tiny little mistakes, but if you make them in this climate, on this course, they just get magnified. So, you definitely have to just respect everything that the island can throw at you. I think, there were some years in the past couple of years where it was actually a pretty tame day. It wasn't quite as hot. It wasn't quite as windy, but, for this year, it brought the heat, it brought the wind, it brought everything back again.
Yeah, I agree with Jenny. There is this feel on the island, and the whole piece, the whole idea of the island, kind of, they always say, she's going to throw everything at you on race day, and you never know, You never know what the surf's going to be like. You never know what the winds are going to be like, or the temperature, the humidity. I mean, you can get a ballpark feeling, but you know, it could be, she could throw everything at you during race day. And you have to just be respectful of that and ready for that, and be able to embrace it and move through it.
Yeah. I think there's like lore too of like, if you take lava rock off the island, it's bad luck. And yeah. And there's also just kind of like this like magical thing too of like when you're swimming and there's sea turtles, you know, at the swim entrance, and like sometimes you'll see dolphins, and you know, it's just this like super cool experience if you just sit back and take it all in, or just, you know, kind of are among all this lava rock, and it's miserable, but it's just beautiful too.
I mean, just when you're out there, it's the amazing platform, and you are there at the World Championship, and that piece can never be underestimated. The feeling that comes with that. So would you go again?
Yes.
How about you, Lauren?
I definitely would. It is expensive. It's a commitment. It's a distance for us coming from New York, but yeah, I would absolutely do it again. It was magical. And just being there and having the privilege. I had a stress fracture in my femur in May, and I didn't know if it was going to happen. So Jennie got me through it and got me there and healthy. And so just being there, I just was grateful for the opportunity. So even though it wasn't perfect, every part of the race, I just tried to be grateful for being there.
Yep. I'm trying to have goldfish memory of hot and humid races and racing Cozumel in 3 weeks to try to get back. So I guess you'd say I'd go back.
Okay. And so what's something, just sort of as a parting note, something that you didn't know or didn't expect that you would want to let people know about? You're so well prepared, nothing surprised me.
I'm trying to let one of you guys go.
I mean, I felt pretty prepared just because I had Jennie, who had been there, and Dave, who'd also been there. And then Nancy kind of helped take me under her wing when I was there too, who had also been there. So I was super grateful that I had them. I think without them, it would have been a completely different experience. Because even when I got there, I was texting Jennie, like, where do I go to bike? Because there's a lot of traffic and you don't know where to go. So just having somebody who had been there for me really helped kind of know where to go and what to do.
So hire a great coach that knows about coaching.
Yeah, that's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, my biggest lesson was I've been there several times with my husband, as I said. So, you know, I've had the opportunity to bike the bike course several times, and, you know, I've probably actually trained more on that course than I would if I'd actually raced those years. So that was super, super helpful. I, you know, kind of knew what to expect with conditions. I think my biggest takeaway was I had a tooth infection and went through 2 rounds of antibiotics, and that's just not good for racing in heat. So that was my biggest takeaway, probably. And also really, really dial in sweat and sodium loss, you know, numbers too, before heading out there, and really, you know, do some hot training sessions so you know you're not guessing at it race day.
Yeah, I think I would add on to that for what Jennie said about you know, training sessions and hydration and fueling, is practice your additional fueling. That's one of the things that my nutrition coach had me do, is practice extra, like trying to take in extra bottles in my last few really long training rides, so that my body was ready to take in that amount of fuel in the hot conditions. So that was super helpful too, to actually practice that volume of fueling, even though like in a training ride, I felt like I was going to explode with that volume of fueling, but I didn't have any GI issues on race day. Thank goodness, because I've had them in the past before, and fueling went really, really well for me that day.
Yeah, I think it's good too to have contingency plans, just, you know, kind of know how to read your body in the heat, because you don't is 100% know how your body's going to react in the conditions or what they're going to be like on the day. So practice the best you can, but kind of know what to do if things go sideways, which they can there, and know how to adjust your pacing and your nutrition, get things on track and get through.
Yeah, I had to kind of ditch my nutrition plan for the run because I was cramping so bad in my stomach that I had to like kind of cut out more sodium and get more water in, and I was just doing the gels. So yeah, being flexible with all of that, because definitely, I mean, I thought I'm gonna blow through sodium because I'm gonna be sweating so much. So I think I kind of took too much in and wasn't ready for it. But
Yeah. I mean, we always say it's like nutrition's a controllable, right? But it's so easy to mess up, but the more you practice it and figure it out and then be ready to adjust to it.
Yeah.
Such a big difference on race day. So, all right. Well, thank you, ladies. I said I'd never go to Kona, but you make me want to go. Maybe I'll go. I'll be one of the people who takes a vacation for a week and cheers people on.
There you go. There you go.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know. I've been there on the spectator side. It's kind of fun.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And congratulations on your days out there.
Thanks, Reem.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Reem.
having us.